What's up, guys? Brady here, coming at you with a review for the new Sylosis album, The New Flesh, that was released about a week and a half ago. 7th album from this British metal crew who are kind of like this three-way meeting between, for me, metalcore, groove metal, and thrash metal. This will be one of the more interesting reviews that I do this year because I'm kind of going to review half of it at once and then the second half. You'll see what I mean. It'll make sense. But one thing I never quite understood about this band is the Trivium comparisons. Of all the bands that I see Sylosis compared to, I hear and see Trivium the most. And this might be just because I'm like a massive Trivium fan. I never quite heard that, like maybe a little bit, but I never quite heard that for Trivium to be like the main band that people compare Sylosis to. Until this album, because there were several moments on this record where I was like, wow, that sounds like Trivium, which I will elaborate on. But getting into the album, with this first half, you know, it has its moments for me, but these songs to me aren't like consistent enough all the way through. Like there's a part or two in each one that I think is sick, but then there's almost always another part that I kind of wince at a little bit. Beneath the Surface and Erase, the first two tracks, it's the same kind of issue. Like the riffing is solid throughout. I especially love on Beneath the Surface, that main tremolo riff, which I think might be a polyrhythm. It sounds kind of jostling, but in a good way. I think it adds to kind of the complexity of the song. Erased is a similar thing. Like it's one of the more simplistic riffs on the album, but it's done with like a unconventional groove under it on the drums, and it makes it sound just a lot more interesting. But both of these songs have these like breakdown parts that just come off kind of boring and kind of caveman, and it disrupts the rest of the song. Beneath the Surface, you hear it right away in that kind of transition between the first main riff and then that second riff. I don't think that needed to be there. I think they could have just made that switch in a quicker, more effective way without kind of stripping things down so much. And then Erased, it's more of a traditional breakdown that comes in the bridge. And again, like it doesn't excite me. It just kind of flatlines the song, and the song's never the same after that. And then track 3, All Glory No Valour, brings in somewhat of like a hardcore influence, but I think it actually kind of detracts in this case just because those riffs being played at such a slow tempo, it comes off kind of lethargic, kind of sluggish. I think the song had potential, and I like those more straightforward hardcore passages, like with those punky drums and the gang vocals. And there is a solo later on that reeks of Pantera that I like too, but like it's one of those songs that it kind of just like nibbles at you, it pecks at you the whole time instead of really latching on. As soon as track 4, Lacerations, played, I rolled my eyes because that intro riff, it's basically the same riff that was going on in the entire whole song before it. That part played and I had to double check that it was a different song. And there's another lame breakdown that comes in the bridge. Like that part hit and I'm like, is this supposed to be a breakdown? Like it just doesn't excite me. But this song is a better execution of that slow chug style that they go for on here. The chorus is a lot more memorable on this track. That's gonna be something I get into later as well. And there's some blast beats that come in the pre-chorus with also some cool guitar licks over them. Mirror Mirror might be the album's low point for me. It's not bad, but I mean the mumbly vocals don't really work for me. There's again a decent chorus with that call and response thing going, a decent main riff, but overall this song just doesn't have enough for me. Spared from the Guillotine 2, this one brings in more of like a deathcore influences. Like you hear it especially right away when the song starts. There's a decent riff in the verse, and the riffs do a better job of kind of evolving the entire song, but it still there's not much for me in this track, and this is the entire first half of the album I'm talking about. But the funny thing about this album is once you hit that halfway mark and Adorn My Throne plays, the album skyrockets in quality. I mean, this track, you hear it right away, it's basically full-on like symphonic black metal. The blast beats and those towering synths and symphonics in the background. The quieter vocals in the verse are a lot more effective than they were 2 tracks ago, but they kind of have like this droning quality to them that I think is fitting. There's some really cool riffing that comes into the song, especially like there's that one around the 130 mark that it's very labyrinth-like in a way that it keeps kind of twisting and turning, and then I like how the song ends too with like this frantic It's like, it's a fill, but it's also a breakdown at the same time. I thought that was a cool way to end the song. And then you get the title track, which like, at first, you know, you might wince at it. You're like, okay, here they go with the Slayer riffs, but they do a great fucking job with this song. It does reek of Slayer and also Pantera. It's just very, very thrash influenced, but there's some great riffs in this song. There's this really hard-hitting like chug riff that comes in the bridge, which is one of the best executions of chug riffs on this album by far. At the 3:23 mark, they do this kind of vocal thing where the call out leads into a built-up scream, but it's like split up and chopped up, and I actually think it works. It's something I feel like I haven't heard before, or I haven't heard much of before. I love that the band went for an all-out ballad attempt on here with Everywhere at Once. And, you know, it isn't perfect, I'll admit. The kind of vocals in the verses kind of almost sounding country at times. Just in the cadence, and he even sounds like he has somewhat of like a country accent, but like it kind of works at the same time. And the chorus of this song is super powerful. It gives a very blatant nod to 80s rock just in the vocal inflections. Circle of Swords absolutely crushes. It was great to hear like just a straight up brute force heavy track on here that does pay off all the way through. Just some really memorable heavy grooves. The track, it reminded me a lot of Thy Art Is Murder. Like if there was some of that like distant like cold ambiance on top of these parts, this track could have fit right on like their second or third album. It has a series of pull-off riffs that are actually used very effectively. Sometimes I think that riffing style could be like a hit or miss, but it really works on here, especially in that chorus, how they kind of like pop in and out, and every time they do come back in, like it sounds like this kind of chaotic tornado. And then the bridge comes in, and it is super, super trivium. And not in a bad way, but this was like probably the part the most that jumped out at me as trivium. It's got like a touch of prog influence, and when it has like, it's got that quiet part that's more, a little bit more techy, that leads into like that crushing heavy version of it that is very, very trivium. And my favorite track on the record is the closer, Seeds in the River. It has the most powerful chorus on the record with these towering background vocals. The verses do a good job of bringing the ambiance, but like the song is still heavy the entire time. Overall, I think this is just a very dynamic song, and it utilizes a good blend of heaviness and melody. The bridge of this track is actually amazing. It's just like super uplifting and motivational. And one moment on this record that I want to single out as especially just brilliant is that acoustic break that happens right after the bridge and right before that final chorus. It's like everything totally drops out, and it's just some like acoustic guitars and somber vocals, and it drags on to the point where like I remember listening to it for the first time, and I was listening to it, I was like, is this the end or is the chorus gonna come in? Like it's almost teasing you. And then like after maybe a second or two of silence, that chorus just hits you like a train. It is so epic. Just the way that part just builds the tension is just, it's complete perfection. And I love how the song ends too, just so abruptly. Like everything just totally drops out and the album's over. Like it just, the ending of this track is utterly amazing. So like I mentioned, like this is an interesting album because the first half it's a little underwhelming, it's spotty at best, and then there's this killer second half. One thing I think that kind of plays on both sides, the good and the bad on this record, is the band's utilization of choruses. Like on a track like Beneath the Surface, I think it sounds kind of just generic, and even on Adore My Throne, a track I like, the chorus is just a little underwhelming for me in that track. But you also have some great choruses on here, like Seeds in the River, like I just mentioned, Circle of Swords, Erased has a good chorus. And there is also an element of like some of this stuff coming off like Trivium Light a little bit, especially those breakdowns like I singled out earlier. There's like a solo on the track Mirror Mirror that sounds like it could have been ripped off of like 6 different Trivium songs, which like I said is interesting because I've never like thought that Sylosis like sounded like Trivium until this record. But despite that, I'm still gonna roll positive. The second half of this album is really, really good. And the first half like still has some cool moments. It's just that those songs aren't as memorable all the way through, but there was nothing that I thought was bad on here. As a result of all those things, I'm going to score this album a 19 out of 30. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to hit subscribe for more rock and related content. I would really appreciate it. I got lots of album reviews coming up. Also, comment below your thoughts on this album. I'd love to hear them. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.